Amara's first meeting with David happened on a rainy afternoon at a quaint cafe tucked away on a busy street. She had rushed in to escape the downpour, only to clumsily knock over her coffee as she settled into a seat by the window. The warm liquid spilled over the table, threatening to ruin her already frazzled mood. That's when David, sitting at a nearby table, glanced up from his book. Without hesitation, he stood, offering a napkin with a soft, almost apologetic smile. It was such a simple gesture, but in that moment, it felt like more. Amara smiled back, embarrassed but grateful. The next few hours passed in a haze of shared conversation, an instant connection growing between them as the rain softly pattered against the window. They talked about everything, their favorite books, their childhood memories, dreams they hadn't yet dared to voice aloud. The hours blurred into one another until the cafe was closing. They parted with a promise to meet again, unaware that this small moment would change both their lives. In the months that followed, their relationship bloomed. They spent late nights talking, laughter echoing in quiet corners of their homes, and exchanged dreams whispered under starlit skies. For them, love felt like an adventure, something that could withstand anything: distance, time, and even the trials of everyday life. They believed in each other and the strength of their connection, certain that nothing could break the bond they'd forged. But life, as it tends to do, had other plans. David received an offer for a job in another city, a dream opportunity that would mean weeks, then months of separation. They promised to keep in touch. At first, they did talking every night without fail. The calls were long and full of life, their voices bridging the miles that lay between them. But as weeks turned into months, the frequency of their calls began to dwindle. Messages came less often, and when they did, they were shorter, less meaningful. Amara tried desperately to keep the flame alive, writing him long letters, filled with all the love and longing she could no longer express over the phone. But those letters went unanswered. And then, one day, she received a message. It was short, to the point, and devastating. "I met someone else. I'm sorry." The words stung, each letter a sharp cut into her chest. She stared at the screen, her world suddenly falling apart. The tears blurred the words, and for a long moment, the weight of the silence that followed seemed to swallow her whole. That was the last message she ever received from him. The pain of that loss lingered for months. Amara tried to move on, but the memories of what they had, of the way he had once looked at her, lingered like a shadow over everything she did. And yet, despite the heartbreak, something in her refused to let go of the love they had shared. She would find herself, years later, walking by that same little cafe where they first met. The rain would sometimes fall in the same rhythm, the same soft patter against the window. She'd order a coffee and sit by the window, looking out at the street where their story began, not because she was still waiting for him, but because that place was a reminder that love, even when it doesn't last forever, leaves something behind, a lesson in how strong the heart can be when it's forced to break and rebuild. Daniel's story began in a way that most would consider far less dramatic but no less poignant. From the moment he first saw Grace, his heart knew it had found its home. She was radiant, laughing with his friend Michael at a gathering, her smile like sunshine in a storm. But to Grace, Daniel was just another face in the crowd, someone she knew, but not someone she saw in the way he saw her. And so, when Michael caught her attention, their connection bloomed into something more, leaving Daniel silently watching from the sidelines. He did not say a word about his feelings. Instead, he wore a mask of smiles and kind words, always present, always encouraging, despite the quiet ache inside him. He cheered for their happiness, all the while quietly breaking inside, knowing that the love he longed for was out of reach. He accepted that his love for Grace would remain a secret, a silent devotion that he carried in his heart, even when it hurt. Years passed, and life unfolded in ways that Daniel never could have predicted. Grace and Michael drifted apart. People change, circumstances shift, and sometimes love evolves in ways that are hard to understand. One quiet evening, Grace found herself standing in front of Daniel again. But this time, something had shifted. He was no longer the background character in her life. Now, he was the one she truly saw. For the first time, she noticed the depth of his kindness, the warmth in his gaze, and the quiet love he had always carried for her. They began talking, and soon, the affection that Daniel had quietly nurtured for years bloomed into something real. They found themselves falling in love, a love that was patient and forgiving, a love that waited through all the years of quiet longing. They married under a soft golden sunset, hand in hand, the tears in their eyes not of sorrow, but of joy. Joy that after all the waiting, all the pain, and all the quiet, unspoken years, they had found each other at last. Their love, which had once felt impossible, was now the foundation of everything they would build together. Today, they have two little hearts calling them Mom and Dad. Their love story, though long and full of yearning, is proof that love doesn't always happen when we expect it, and sometimes it doesn't look the way we imagine. Sometimes, love just waits, quietly, patiently, until the time is right. And when it is, it fills the spaces we didn't even know we were missing.